Vaishali, welcome. So, Vaishali has secured All India rank 37 in 2022 exams in IFS exam. So, it is a great pleasure for us to have you, and also because you are ready to help others. So, that is a very good motivation. All IFS students will provide the Telegram link also. I have also put in the group, so you can directly contact her. She is ready to help. So first, let me start like how was this year, and also Vaishali has scored about 215 marks in agriculture in IFOS and around 260 plus marks in CSE. So Vaishali, how was the mains this time? So it was something different, paper two mainly.
Yes, sir. The difference this year is that usually we focus only on the TYQ. So we also
Yeah.
did that with the limited time after the IFS quizzes. And it backfired actually because there were directly questions from the syllabus which were not in the previous year question papers. For example, history of plant breeding was asked, which was no one expected. So it was kind of difficult. So we are expecting very low scores this time. So
Okay. Maybe even maybe there may be some scaling up or something also. Let's hope for the best.
yes,
So
sir.
what is the learning which you got from this paper two portion or even paper one? This time was little bit on the uh, like away from the PYQ side. So what is the learning
Yes.
and which you want to tell others?
So one thing that we could take from this year's question paper is that we have to concentrate on each and every word of the syllabus. Make notes for everything, not just go blindly behind the TYQs alone. So one has to make
Okay,
notes for every single word which is given in the syllabus. That is more than enough to cover everything. At least we'll be able to get around 6 to 7 questions. Even if one goes wrong, we can manage with the other 7 questions.
okay. So whichever is there in the syllabus, which we didn't focus on, like plant breeding, there used to be no questions. But this time, first time they asked questions.
Yes, sir.
So such areas also we need to focus and make notes.
Yes, sir.
Uh,
Everything.
so
It's better
okay.
to make notes on our own than to go with the ready-made notes. Is also what I felt. Sir.
Okay, because many students are going up with ready-made notes. You are suggesting that they should make their own notes. That
Yes,
will help.
exactly.
Use books for reference and complete it.
Yes, sir.
Definitely. So aspirants also need to follow the advice and all. So the next, how was your preparation last year? Like you completed your CSC uh, mains. After that, how did you change your strategy for IFOS? You can just briefly, you can tell me in elaborate manner, how did you divide your time? How did you focus on agriculture, botany, all these things?
Sir, the reality was I had 1.5 months of, as I'm currently working as agriculture officer, I had only 1.5 months of leave for my entire main CSC main preparation. So with that preparation, I just studied for nearly 10 days, being very honest for CSC optional. I was agriculture. And or after that, CSC mains, I did not have even one day of leave for my forestry mains. So with only with around the morning 5 to 8 and the evening 6 to 10, I managed the entire preparation. So I did the bare minimum, which has to be done by an aspirant. So I can't elaborate on notes making or stuff that everyone does because I did not do all those things because I have very limited time. So what I did was, sir, I concentrated so much on botany. I thought, okay, I have done my PhD names with agriculture options. I somehow manage it for CI for it. So my entire preparation was focused on English with as a grammar section, and the other half I spent it entirely on the botany, especially botany paper one, sir, because agriculture paper two and botany paper two overlaps for almost like 80%. So I thought I'll manage botany paper two in that way, and I focused mostly on botany one, first paper. And I did revise one time before my agriculture paper for IFS. So what I did was, sir, I focused mainly on the TYQs, which every aspirant does. and it was not backfired that time. So it helped me a lot. First, I used to divide it based on the number of questions and the importance based on every topic. For paper one, for example, soil and water conservation was given more weightage than the other topic, which is a relatively small topic and can cover it in a short time. So the benefit to cost ratio was higher in soil water conservation. So I went with that topic called first, and then I went with agronomy sir, because it was relatively easy, and I like agronomy. So even if some package of practices, being an agriculture graduate is asked, I can write and make up something, even if I'm not fully aware of what the practices are. And then I went with soil. So soil seems to be a relatively big topic, but when we look at the previous year question papers, you can see that there are certain areas that are focused upon. For example, the nitrogen cycle and biofertilizers, organic farming, sort of questions. So I focused majorly upon that. So these were the three topics I focused on in paper one, sir. Then with extension and economics, they were relatively easy. And as I was working as agriculture officer in the extension department, and also I was little bit used to the departmental working, it was easy for me. I kept the forestry, waste management, and environmental ecology as my lab um, better because I know I can cover it just even before the exam in a day or two, and also the benefit cost ratio was really very high. So next was paper two. Paper two is something I struggled with because it's been 3-4 years since my graduation, and I'm not very good at technical papers. So I started always doing with cell biology. So cell biology is something which I really like. I focus only on very small portion of the syllabus. Okay, for example, in cell organelles, I used to previously look at every time I look at the mitosis and meiosis and the difference between them, and certain cell organelles and difference between plant cell and animal cells and eukaryotic and prokaryotic cells. So some repeated themes I used to focus on. And next I went with plant reading. So even in plant reading, I narrowed down my topics to very limited number of topics. For example, pure line reading, and even though there are n number of reading options available, I just went with pure line, pedigree, mass selection, and few other reading sessions so that I just used to look at one of the diagram and I used to remember the difference between the diagrams so that I can elaborate on it whenever. Then I went on with the physiology. Plant physiology is something which I was very weak at it.
Okay.
So the cycles and all, I used my 12th standard Tamil Nadu State board book, botany book, because other thing I found it very difficult and to remember also. Because once we enter the UPSC preparation cycle, we automatically tend to lose our mother thing capacity is what I felt. So I made a very short systematic cycle, which I took from the mostly from my 12th standard botany book, which I have read multiple times for my first. So these were the three areas that I focused on. And horticulture and plant protection were relatively huge topics, and no one knows what is going to be asked. So in horticulture, I went with the repeated themes. For example, the high-tech horticulture, the pro trade, protected cultivation, and the preservation technique. So for the value addition part, I just um, saw only one topic. I think it is jam or jelly, either jam or jelly preparation. So I made sure that even if I'm asked something other than jam and jelly, I will write something, not leaving the paper blank. And the other things I focused on was the package of practices. I focused on frequently repeated fruits and vegetables. For example, mango, papaya, and the vegetables, potato, and citrus. These are repeatedly asked. So I focused on these topics alone. Sir. I did not read much on horticulture. And also I took a look at the cut flowers. So that was something relatively. Next, for plant protection, I did not look much into the diseases and pests of every crop because that is very huge syllabus to cover. So I went with the IPM strategies. and storage insects and some certain formulations. And I make sure, even if I don't know anything, if a particular crop is being asked, and if I don't know how to cover the chemicals and all, I studied one chemical for cutting pests, for example, dimethyl. And for borers, I studied one particular pesticide or insecticide. So with that, I thought I'll manage it. So this is what it is. And food science and nutrition is something which I never looked on. And this time also it backfired that I did not look at this topic because there were nearly three questions asked from that food nutrition part. So this is how I managed both paper one and paper two in a relatively very short amount of
Okay. Thank you for your elaborate, like giving idea about all the topics whichever you read. So, like for the topics like breeding, genetics, and all, you refer the books.
So
Uh,
actually, being honest, I went with the ready-made notes because I didn't have time to look at the standard book. But this time I did look at the standard book. For
okay.
example, in that thing. And one of my friends, Sukha Ishwaran, she also got into forest service this time. And she had notes. So I referred to her notes, which was based on the standard book. So that helped
Okay.
me a lot. This time I actually did what I felt. So this time I went with standard book, but last time it was based on ready-made notes, which I feel it is not going to work a lot.
Hmm. Based on the changing pattern, we need to focus on the books. Okay. So, like about the botany strategy, can you please elaborate? Like, what are the books like they want to read now? Because many are in the situation that they have completed agriculture once because they have written mains, they have good knowledge, but they are zero at botany because they never read botany till now. So, just in this 50 days, they need to do botany also, GK, English, everything. So, are there like you said about the 12th standard, your Tamil Nadu books? But what about others, like whether it is recommended or how to go about? Mainly botany.
So in botany, I felt it. Second paper, you can manage. It is not going to be an issue, even if one goes with like limited amount of preparation for second paper. For example, if in agriculture, vernalization topic or the short day long photoperiodism topic, it was it was in uh, like it was not generalistic science. But in botany, one has to focus on the internal workings and enzymes involved and sort of that. But the topic remains the same. So what I did was, as I mentioned already, I did not have enough time. So I referred with few of my seniors and I went with the one book. I focused mainly on the PYQs of especially IFS alone for the past 10 years. But I would not recommend anyone doing that alone because in paper one, botany, I lost marks because of that. In paper two, I did manage because of my agriculture knowledge. So I refer to this book, which is R. Gupta's PYQs book. So I have did every 10 years, past 10 years paper. This book doesn't cover all the questions. So it covers nearly 60% of the devices for both paper one and paper two. And it's not a foolproof book and it is not very good and all. Some topics are missing, something will be wrong and all. So one can use it for an overall, getting an overall idea and what are the repeated topics. So I went with this and paper two, I tried making notes for certain topics based on PYQ. So, but it took a lot of time because there are so many n number of topics to be covered, and it is something very, very, very technical. Botany paper seems very technical and very difficult. So for paper two, I went with the thing I told you, and for paper one, what I did was I have a PDF for which the questions are segregated for the past 10 years. USC. So I just went blindly with that and with this book. And certain other topics I focused on was with the benefit cost ratio involved, economic botany, biostatistics, and a few other topics such as algae. And in general terms, one should focus on finest species, finest cycles, And I just focused on something which is very, very often repeated. And I focused on the diagrammatic part because one tends to forget the diagram. So I focused on these parts alone. So I was not able to actually complete the whole paper in paper one. I did write something, but I just left out some few questions. So I got 90 marks in that paper alone. Other three papers of optionals I got decently in three digits, and in one thing I got 90. And one thing I did miss out was reference to the same year CSC mains question paper because there was a repetition with the example coach postulate that came last year in botany CSE mains. I did not have time to refer to that, so I just left it out. But the same question got repeated in IFS. So I advise people to look at botany this year CSE mains question paper and also prepare for those topics. There are chances which might get repeated. Certain few questions you can manage. And one can also choose to either skip the angiosperm family part because there are nearly 20 families and it's not actually easy to cover everything. So one can go with the repeated, if you are good at diagrams and stuff, you can go with the repeated families alone. But when I wrote, they asked something regarding Cucurbitaceae family, I guess. I did not actually really know that much about it. I just made something for the compulsory diagram. So if one is not really comfortable with botany, you can just choose to ignore that one topic. But if you are able to do it, you can do the PYQ. And don't start with the algae, phanerograms, cryptograms topics. Just first focus on the economic working, biostatistics, focus based on the cost benefit ratio, which are you will be able to cover it very quickly. So do that, and at last go on with the this angel firm topic or something like. So um, focus on the microbiology and the morphogenesis part, which is very relatively easy for every student, and the economic part, plan the social development part. So these parts will yield you more with a limited amount of time, and then you can go with the other. If anything, and if anyone has any doubts regarding a specific topic, they can message me on Telegram. I'll reply whenever I can.
Okay. Thank you, Vaishali, for the elaborate description. So, like angiosperm, gymnosperm, those topics, like this book will serve, and some other sources, or like for this angiosperm, gymnosperm, and these topics related to basic botany.
Sir, for paper one, Pawan Kumar Johnson notes is available. I'll share it with
Okay.
you.
Okay.
But that is for an overall understanding of the paper one. I
Okay.
remember the sir told me that he skipped actually CSE. He took the notes while he had a lot of time and he took some course regarding it. Actually, there
Okay.
is a YouTube channel all about biology or something. I just don't remember exactly. And they used
Okay.
to elaborate everything. If, for example, there is a family called Cucurbitaceae. It was an elaborate
Mm-hmm.
video regarding for every
Mm-hmm.
family. And one can refer to it if you're not okay with going with theoretical or book part. And sir also told me that he had time and he made notes, but he skipped the angiosperm part. So one can go with evolution. I think it is available freely on Telegram. I can share the link also. So one can go
Okay.
with evolution in case if other sources are not supplementary. And I would also like to guys can take a look at the Tamil Nadu state board book. They are very helpful for botany, 11th standard and 12th standard botany book. They seem very good and diagrammatic explanations are very good. One can use them.
Okay. Thank you. So you gave an elaborate idea because that area only agriculture students are having issue. Paper one and this very static botany part. So the paper two, okay, they have some parallelism, like if they read BD plant breeding, and pathology also they can read and get notes from Angle or something, I think, right? But the issue is with this, we can little bit rectify seeing videos and all as you suggested. Did you practice some answers also for the agriculture or botany, or do you
Actually, sir,
recommend?
I wrote only one test for CSE main. I did not find it useful also, but one has to, if one has time, they can write it. But with the death of time, I couldn't write any test. I just went there and just sat and wrote. But with students who has enough amount of time, who can focus on um, uh, learning about elaborating certain topics, they can write certain repeated themes like Galvin cycle or C4 cycle, only on these things which we tend to forget. I don't think we have time to write full test. Maybe we can go
Okay,
for botany. Agriculture graduate students can go with botany. That would help them.
okay.
But with the limited amount of time, one has to focus on content and preparation. So one can go with botany.
Okay, sure. So because they have agriculture, they have read and they written main, so focus on botany more. And how about GK and English? Whether it needs more time or they'll be able to manage with the knowledge in CSC?
So if one has written the CSE, GK is almost sort of. No need to worry about anything else. But the only difference is one has to focus on the ancient and medieval history. That is the only difference that I think between the civil services DS paper and the forest service GP paper. So one has to focus on that alone. For that also, I refer to Tamil Nadu 11th standard history book, which is very concise material. So that seems to help a lot. And for English, sir, I did not study the first part. I just focused on the last 50 marks part, which I refer to certain YouTube videos and previous year question papers. And Apur, there's a channel on Telegram called Apur Rank 11, and he has very good sources for English. Sir has taken and scanned every part for homophone, for EDM, and everything. And he has even the link of the particular YouTube video. That is some 6 hours long. I couldn't find time to do that 6 hours. But if one has time, they have to look at that video, and it is easily doable. And for idioms and phrases also, one has to look at the previous year UPSC and CDS. Whatever UPSC question papers from other streams also I'm saying. One should look at those idiom phrases, homophones, and make a note. Whatever sources I have that I have collected from making this, I will share it with you, sir. You can share with the
Yes,
students for their better use.
yes, yes, sure. We will help them out and I will share it with them. Uh, now we have discussed about this. So after the last question, then those who are giving IFS mains can directly talk to Vaishali so that you can ask specific doubt. So one question like may not be for this year like IFS students is that how you are consistently able to clear prelims and also with IFS cutoff, because many students have the aspiration to clear IFS cutoff. So that doesn't happen. That's why they don't prepare for botany or agriculture. Can you tell me in brief about how prelims tackle? Like this year also, it was very dicey.
Yes, sir. I used to rely on the anti-terrorism work, sir. So my preparation was always the bare minimum. I never had time to study newspapers or take notes from it. So I just went with the sources available online most of the time. And my focus was mostly on the current affairs part. So even if they're going to ask something from the static part, it is going to be based on the current affairs is what I felt. Because if something controversy based on speaker is going on, then one has to focus on the conventional static speaker part. So this is how I related, and I did the answer. And one main thing my focus was on CSAT. So being an agriculture graduate, I lost 3 prelims because of CSAT. So I focused something on CSAT. there are so many YouTube videos available. I took some friends' help. That is how I was able to clear the CSAT. And for clearing IFS, one can also prioritize subjects. And for example, the um, the recent trend is increasing questions towards environment. So I focused on environment, quality, and geography. Geography has a high benefit to cost ratio, so I also focused on that. And other one strategy I did was to look at the previous year questions. I decoded them. I bought a book which was called, I think it is Disha Publication, and I solved it subject wise for at least 15 years. So if I'm studying geography, I used to study the two books, the fundamentals and the Indian geography, and then I'll take the previous year question papers and I'll solve it. So I did not focus on the right question. There are four options, and I did not focus only on the right one. So the other three wrong options also I focused on. I just try to study upon the other three wrong options, so that there are chances that that might get repeated somewhere else. So this is what I did, and my sources are very limited. So I just there were some portions that I used to skip for prelims, like art and culture, or for ancient and medieval. I just went for a Tamil Nadu 11th standard book, which is very concise material, so that I can just eliminate from it. And also luck favors in certain questions. So, in case if I had no idea and if I'm attending below 85 questions or something, and I just used to take a look at the questions, and there are so many one only, two only, three only. For certain questions, I just went with two only because of some gut feeling or something. But I don't recommend everyone do it. But for certain things, we did it, and the right and wrong ratio was relatively higher. So I got it. This is how it went.
Okay, like you're focusing on the standard books, keeping it minimum, and then working on the PYQs and analyzing all the questions, options, and everything. And then by the practice, we're able to clear.
Yes. One
Okay,
has to
thank
attend
you.
at least 85 plus questions because no one
Okay,
will, anyone who has read for 10 months or 3 years or 4 years. So the
yes,
maximum number of questions they will have an idea is about maximum 30 is what I
yes.
felt. So the others
Mm-hmm.
they have to take a guess. But it should be an educated guess and not a wild guess is what I feel.
Mm-hmm. Okay, like CSAT, how much question you are able to attend this time?
So I have this always I used to attend every single English question because I was not good with
Yes.
maths and things. So this time I attended 46 questions nearly. I think it was good to go. So every time you have to attend at least 45 plus questions so that it is on the safer side. And I was a little bit good with my English comprehension side. So that made the way.
Okay, okay. So this time that like even 27, another making the 20 was difficult because most of the questions on probability and other areas were asked.
So for
Okay.
questions like that, one can focus on the there are so many online PDFs available. And as I said, sir, there are so many institutes taking online videos and PDFs. So there is a particular PDF from La Excellence, so in which they have solved every PYQ. For example, in number system, they have taken out all the questions for the past 10 years or something, and they have solved it. So one can do repeatedly solving the PYQ, and that is good. That is really good to go is what I think.
Okay, okay. So that way that will be helpful for the students. Thank you.
Yes.
So like regarding the interview preparation also you were like with and you were also preparing with the other students. So you also got good marks I think
Yes.
in the interview. So what helped you in the interview mainly?
So one thing I felt was I have been in a service, already in a government service for 3 plus years. So the subordination and the way I should behave with the seniors automatically came to me without any kind of output.
Mock
input
interview or
from
something.
external people.
Yes, yes.
So sometimes I felt like giving too many mocks actually was bad to my confidence. I used to be so confident even if I had zero preparation. But so many mocks actually deteriorated my confidence. So for us, I just went with zero mocks. For CSE, I just gave 5 or 6 mocks and a few one-on-ones. So one-on-ones are really
Okay,
helpful. They
okay.
actually one can find out the strength and their personal strength and weakness. But too many mocks is detrimental. So one can do limited amount of mocks and also keep in just what is happening around you. Especially there's a difference between CS interview and forest interview. In forest interview, focus mostly on what is happening in the country's forest and wildlife legislations and stuff. And also, one has to take a look at the offshore survey. So in my interview, I remember one particular member asked me entirely on botany and agriculture. He kept on asking me regarding basic differences between reproduction, fertilization, apomixis, aposphory, so many things. And at that point, I had literally no idea. I told him, I just politely told him that I read about all these topics, but at present I'm not able to discuss.
Yes,
So
yes,
he was okay with it. And one particular member was full on forestry related topic. And it was not completely technical forestry stuff. It was related with agriculture. So he asked me so many questions regarding agroforestry and if slash and burn type of agriculture is agroforestry or not. So, and another member focused on international relations. So for forest interview, what I said is that one has to prepare their data and one has to choose their hobbies very wisely. One may have any kind of hobby. Even I like to dance, play, chess, and everything. But when I specifically made my hobby to look like something that was interesting. So I gave bonsai development as my hobby. So which was very intriguing for the chairman and member. So in my both CSE and forestry interview, I had questions regarding bonsai. So that is how we direct the interview toward our side because in interview anything can be asked. So when we have something interesting in our dance, chances are high that they may ask something from what we have to say. And our hometown is very important. The state where we are hailing from. And I used to look at the transcript. Transcript helps me a lot. So I have a very big file on. I did not make notes for anything else, but I have notes for interview I know. So that helps me. And to keep my, I used to talk with my friends, and all these one-on-ones help me to keep my answers short and also concise, and also make them curious about what I know. So this is how it went. I scored decently well in both CSE and forest interview.
yes, yes. Also, I think you wrote about mandala art, huh? Mandala
Ah,
art or
yes,
something. Yeah, that
mandala.
was unique, which nobody writes.
Yes,
Yes. Thank you for your inputs. So it will be really helpful for the aspirants.